Welcome to episode 7 of the Chi-Town Shoot Wrestling Podcast. I'm Marcin, and joining me in the squared circle are David and Andres. We're coming at you from the heart of the wrestling world, Chicago, Illinois, bringing you the latest news, hottest takes, and all things WWE and AEW. Send us your wildest predictions to chitownshootpodcast at gmail.com, and we'll tackle your comments in the Chi-Town Shoot mailbag. Without further ado, guys, this was a really hectic weekend. This was very wrestling filled. We had Wrestlemania weekend. We had a lot of stories on the AEW side. How are you guys doing after this crazy weekend?
Tired.
Tired. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Starting to get back in the groove of things. Yesterday fell off, but today's a little better.
Tell me about it. I did end up taking yesterday off because I just needed like a day to recharge.
Just smart. I wish I did.
Me too.
Because like you said, David, I think you mentioned you were like, well, it's not because you were drunk or anything, because we had too many, tecadas or other beers. It's just because it was just a lot of stuff. But I mean,
Tecadas? Oh, tecadas. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I think I just mispronounced that beer, so that's my fault. But
Oh, good.
we got a lot of beers. You called it a Mexican trucker beer, apparently. But it was on sale for $8 at Jewel Osco, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get those for WrestleMania.
Nice.
Along with
Tecadas are good.
some Sam Adams. Well, we have a lot of news and we have a lot of things we want to go through because there's a lot to cover in WrestleMania, the Raw after Mania. But I figured we'd like to sprinkle in some news on AEW. And there's, as of this recording, Dynamite hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure when we upload this, the segment already happened. But I think it's an important conversation to have because it's one of the bigger pieces of news from the AEW side. In Tony Khan apparently allowing the Young Bucks to air the backstage footage of CM Punk's altercation with Jack Perry. Earlier during Collision, Tony Schiavone said the Young Bucks will have a massive announcement for this upcoming Dynamite. It was later clarified that Matthew Nicholas will present backstage footage from All in London and will discuss it for the first time. Now, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, All in London is the event where Punk and Jack Perry had a backstage altercation that led to Punk's termination from AEW and then Perry's move to New Japan Pro Wrestling, who, by the way, is having a match this upcoming Friday at Windy City Riot. At the time, there was a report going around that the said footage did exist of whatever went down between Punk and Perry. Now, given Punk's brawl-out history with the Young Bucks and all the NDAs that were allegedly made everyone silent about it, it looks like AEW wants fans to think Matt and Nicholas are going to drop some dirt about Punk on this upcoming Dynamite, at least in regards to what happened at All In with Perry. Now, we had this segment last weekend, the Dynamite before, with Adam Copeland giving this rah-rah speech about, positivity and enough about the negativity. So this is an interesting... It's an interesting immediate right swerve because this seems like a kind of negative thing. What do you guys think? You've heard this news. We all talked about it in our little private chat. What do you guys think about the idea of them airing this? This is going to air after the Dynamite. What do you think about the general concept of this? Do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's really lame.
Yeah.
I think from like a credibility standpoint, it's I wouldn't say that like AEW is gonna fall off the face of the earth, but it's an ugly look because one thing about wrestling is you're not supposed to really show what's going on behind the curtain.
Right.
And then when you choose to do it, you're doing it on some like weird revenge porn towards CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's
I'll watch it.
weird.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a hypocrite, and if I was going to say that I wasn't going to watch, because, yeah, everyone loves the drama. It's obviously stupid, and the concept itself, I think it does reek a little of desperation. I kind of understand to a certain degree where they're coming from, because maybe they feel like Punk's interview with Ariel Helwani painted them as incompetent, as he doesn't know what he's doing,
and running the show without him.
Right.
There you go. You're incompetent. Like it's your company. Like you could do fine without him. You just stop focusing on him. He's gone. He's sold out Madison Square Garden on a house show. He's doing all this other shit that like has nothing to do with AEW. Like he stood away from AEW questions until he was asked in a proper setting.
Right.
It's like
a lot of like no comments and stuff, and now all of a sudden we're getting footage. But maybe, I mean, the people are saying they are going to air the actual footage, but they didn't really specify that it's CM Punk, Jack Perry, right? They just said backstage footage.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that the Bucks were there.
So I feel like maybe it's also an angle. I guess we'll see. We'll be proven wrong or right whenever this airs after Dynamite. But perhaps it maybe not a Rickroll, but which would be kind of funny. They just air Rickroll footage.
I prefer that.
Well, what do you think? Okay, let's look at it from like a devil's advocate perspective. What kind of potential positives can there be from this? Reintroducing, Jack Perry, perhaps? Do you think that is a good way to bring him back into AEW? Is that a potential reason to do this?
Just the ratings is what they're looking at, I think. I don't know. Like if they need him that bad, but it's kind of, like how David said, it's just not a good look for a company to be doing that. It's like one thing if like someone had access to their cameras and leaked it themselves, but this is the full company in front of everyone being like, we're going to do this.
Right.
So the positive from it, man, I think it's not going to outweigh the negative, but I guess the positives we could take from it is just the attention that it's going to draw.
Mm-hmm.
When people are like, holy crap, we're going to see this, and what's it going to show? And, is it going to make Punk look bad? Because it's already making AEW probably not look too great now by doing this. And, I don't know. I mean, Punk's saying that. Is that what really motivated all this to be like, hey, by the way, we're going to do this right now? Yeah,
100%. If we're talking about timing, because otherwise, like, why they could have aired this 6 months ago, or whenever it was during All In, and they waited 8 months to air the footage. I think it is in direct response to what Punk said. I mean, Punk was asked a question. I guess he could have not answered the question and maybe left it a little more vague. But, to his point, I guess once he started, he probably couldn't stop kind of talking about it. I mean, I think he was pretty respectful. He was offering his own perspective in that interview. I don't know if you guys watched that interview, but it's interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see when we watch it on Dynamite. I do feel like it's like a ratings ploy to boost up the ratings. Again, I do want to see it. I mean, it is a good tactic, but it's probably pretty short-sighted. I don't know how many people would actually stick around after AEW's Dynamite show following that footage. Maybe they'll get some more fans that'll keep tuning in every week, but on the other hand, you just had, again, I go back to this, you just had this conversation with Adam Copeland, who's responding indirectly to this interview with CM Punk, and probably some negativity on the internet, but the people in the AEW audience didn't necessarily know what he's talking about. It sometimes feels like Tony Khan is just really paying attention to that really niche online crowd, and then the promos are being affected, and then you get this really knee-jerk reaction the following week where the messaging you just told Adam Copeland to go out and give is now being, this is negative.
like X on Twitter is also doing the same campaign.
Right.
I love it here.
And, you just hired like 4 or 5 people. You just hired Mercedes. You just hired Will Ospreay. You just hired Okada. And it's been not even a month, really. And it's like, well, I guess I can't draw with these 3 people that I'm paying millions of dollars for. Let's air some footage about CM Punk to get the ratings up. I don't know what that says about his confidence in the talent, but I don't know. I'll tune in. I mean, it's a potentially smart tactic. I'll give him that, but it makes your product feel inconsistent and a little desperate.
It does,
right?
I mean, we got 2 weeks to till Dynasty, and we're gonna air CM Punk footage.
CM Punk footage, and I guess we can touch on this because we don't have a Collision Dynamite review, but we're also getting Dustin Rhodes fighting a Samoan Joe on Dynamite for the title. Where did this come from? Do you guys know? David, do you know where this came from?
I do not.
Yeah.
And Samoa Joe's title defense should mean more than all-in footage.
That's the other thing. And what do they mean by title eliminator match? What does that mean?
Oh, title eliminators in AEW. If you win, you get you basically get a match. It's like to earn a title shot.
So he's not fighting for the title; he's earning a shot for the title.
Oh, it's an eliminator?
That's what I thought it said. That's why I was like, "What the hell is that?"
I don't know.
We're
busy knowing that there's going to be all-in footage,
right? But I mean, maybe he gets inserted into Dynasty. I mean, it's like another thing that maybe we're just reading into patterns that don't exist. But it's hard to not compare the two when you just had a Rhodes win at WrestleMania 40, and now he has a Rhodes in AEW who's going to be potentially fighting for the championship. And I go back to that discussion we've had on a number of episodes with these rankings, right? These rankings, like he's not even in the top 5 or 6, so I'm not sure why he's getting an opportunity for the AEW championship. Like, you might as well just throw the rankings out the window.
Maybe because of Cody Rhodes doing his thing, and they're like, "Hey, I don't know." But the family's popular right now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, why should people invest into the concept of rankings if you are not going to follow the rankings? People, including Punk, have said the rankings don't make any sense. It'll be increasingly difficult for you to create stories because you are forced to work around these records that you're making for yourself. You're pigeonholing yourself into these specific spots. And look what we got. We got Dustin Rhodes getting an opportunity, but I don't see how.
Eliminated. I looked.
It is an eliminator.
Yeah.
But either way, he's not in the top. He's not in the rankings. Like, he's not as high as these 5 or 6 other guys that I saw the other night. So I don't understand why he's getting an opportunity, you know? Like, if you introduce a concept that you literally just introduced at the end of January, why you're already throwing out that concept? I mean, we've talked about a number of different matches that have made no sense about why they get an opportunity, why this person doesn't get an opportunity. I mean, it's just frustrating. As a watcher, I mean, I'm sure AEW fans are scratching their heads for some of these things, and I want them to do well, but don't be giving this like contradictory BS. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. But Tony Khan has also commented on this. A lot of people are saying it's probably a ruse. They're not going to be airing this footage. Tony Khan did comment on this, saying AEW has a great track record on delivering what we advertise, and it is real footage. The Young Bucks will show backstage footage from All In.
Backstage of what? Catering?
Exactly. And maybe this is the reading into this part, because he doesn't specify what it is. And then he goes into his PR shtick: the most important event in AEW history, the world record holder for most tickets ever sold for any wrestling record, over 81,035 total. And it was an important night backstage as well. What does that mean? It was an important night backstage as well. The decision is based on putting on the best show for AEW, as well as driving interest for Dynamite and our Dynasty pay-per-view on April 21st. This is real-life footage that affected many people, and it will air for the first time on TBS during Dynamite. The Young Bucks are wrestling for the World Tag Team Championship at Dynasty against FTR. The rivalry is one of the most significant ever in AEW, and there's a good reason why the Bucks are showing this video. It's important that the Young Bucks explain the reason why this is relevant going into Dynasty. It should be another must-see part of a great show on Dynamite. So That's his reasoning. Do you guys agree with that reasoning?
I don't even know what his reason is after all that rambling.
I mean, he's talking about that the Young Bucks are fighting FTR going into Dynasty, and somehow this footage is going to tie into this rivalry. Is it because FTR potentially they are CM Punk's friends, so they feel like this is like a layer to, bolster their rivalry? They're already rivals. They went against each other at All In. Right.
So
maybe it's like footage between them backstage.
Maybe it's Dex crying or something.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting, and I feel like I might just do like an emergency reaction podcast, kind of like Sam, not Sam Wrestling, as he does an emergency thing, just to react, because it's going to happen after this. But I don't know where this goes. Besides maybe potentially introducing Jack Perry, who, by the way, is having a match at Windy City Riot with Shota Umino.
Yeah.
Do you feel like he's going to do some kind of angle that ties into AEW at Windy City Riot?
He'll play off the heat. Because, I mean, and all he does run around New Japan is like he's known as the suspended guy.
The scapegoat.
This is
messed around. I feel like he's going to cut a promo, because what better place to get more heat than the hometown of CM Punk, and that's the guy who you were involved with this backstage. Maybe they're just tying it all in together. We'll see. I mean, New Japan is still pretty tied closely with AEW. They have a pretty good partnership, right?
Yeah. Well, they should just let us be like old school traditional fans from like the 70s and 80s, and if this guy gets enough heat, we could just throw glizzies at him.
Glizzies, get shanked in the parking lot like the good old days.
Yeah, Roddy Piper's scared to take his kids to the park.
Man, that was some crazy stuff. I mean, I've never experienced that, but hearing those stories of guys in the 70s and 80s just talking about the kind of fans that they sometimes had to come across, people getting stabbed, people pulling guns on them, throwing random crap because they were legitimately pissed off. I mean, I guess that's what happens if you're positioning yourself as an actual, realistic thing. Like, I'm actually an asshole, and then people believe it. But
you got to go in there like Zangief. I'm bad guy, but not bad guy.
I'm a bad guy, but not a bad guy. So we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see where this goes, and we'll definitely see it on Twitter, all over the internet. Now we'll jump into WrestleMania 40. This is a pretty big one, and we'll try and just go through these matches, see how we feel, and review them. I'm sure the Rock and the main events are gonna last a little longer in terms of like our perspectives and stuff. But let's start with WrestleMania. The biggest, by the way, they talked about how WrestleMania 40 this weekend is the biggest weekend they've ever had. The biggest gates. They've had the biggest gate on SmackDown, and then Raw had the biggest. It must be domestic of all time. WrestleMania 40 as a PLE was the second biggest watched event or thing on Peacock, but right under some football event. I forgot what it was, but that's crazy. Like that there's a lot of sports, there's a lot of content on there, and to be the second biggest streaming thing of all time, I feel like NBC Universal is probably shooting themselves in the foot about, why they didn't get Raw or SmackDown onto their streaming service, because that's pretty nuts. And you're probably going to lose them next year. I mean, insane. So we'll start with WrestleMania 40 Night 1. We'll go with the Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee match versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Now, Dragon Lee wasn't part of this match. He was replaced by Andrade, but I feel like Andrade was shined really well here, and I thought it was a really good match. What did you guys think of this tag team match? Where do you think this goes from here now that Rey Mysterio and Andrade won? Any thoughts?
I hope they move on and like find something else to do other than like Santos and everybody. But I'm sure they still gotta figure out who attacked Dragon Lee and things like that.
Right.
Uh, I like. What does this mean? Andrade is on SmackDown now? Because I thought he was a Raw superstar.
Good question. I mean, I feel like, and again, this goes back to this the concept of the draft, which takes place at the end of the month. It feels like they don't always follow through with these people who are supposed to be specifically on Raw or SmackDown. Cody Rhodes jumps back and forth right now. I mean, he kind of has to, I guess, because he's technically a Raw superstar and he's also the WWE champion, which is a SmackDown belt. So I don't know, but I agree with you with the Ray and Dominic thing. They've had their feud last year and they kind of carried it over now. And there's a blow off match between Dominic and Andrade next week on Raw. So we'll see. I feel like this feud isn't ending yet. I feel like it's another. It's kind of like the bloodline and just this concept that Triple H has now of just kind of evolving and morphing it, giving it another chapter. To be fair, like you said, the LWO and Legado del Fantasma has been going at it for a while, and it doesn't feel like they were going anywhere really with this story. Like this guy was mad at this person, this guy was mad at this person. That I feel like there were not too many new layers to it. Besides that, you know. Like promos that made me think like, ooh, yes, I'd like to see this. It's still simmering. It didn't reach a boil yet. So maybe we'll see something from them. But Andres, any additional thoughts?
On them too much. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of getting a little. It's almost like burning out, but it's like, what else can they do? So I think right now they'll just probably continue with this for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have their set match going into next week. After that, though, I don't know. It's like once you had Ray and his son already established their fight, and then they just kind of still continued it. Maybe do like an all-out grouping fight between more of a LWO and
War Games.
Judgment Day.
Yes. War Games. Yeah, maybe the blow-off will be War Games.
Yeah, maybe set them up for that or
Survivor Series. Who knows?
And you also got obviously the Judgment Day one. The world title on both the female and male side now. So maybe I doubt it, but maybe LWO can have contenders at some point to rival them for taking that gold. I don't think so, but just trying to throw ideas out there what they could do if they kept the rivalry between the groups. Because you remember like DX had like their fight with the corporation, and that was a bigger scale of a thing. But like they were taking their gold from them back and forth and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I doubt it's gonna be like that. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's really all there really is to it.
Next, we have Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Now, let me just say that the entrance of Bianca, Naomi's, and Jade's, like they just looked like complete badasses, and they threw around the name of the Big Three. I mean, I feel like one, that's a good name, and two, their whole aura was just off the charts. Just pure. I mean, just the entrance, the presence when they walked down. I was getting some X-Men vibes coming from it. Very, very good stuff. And they had a pretty good match with Damage Control, I gotta say. Jade Cargill was around 80% of the match. It felt like Naomi and Bianca Belair were doing most of the work with Damage Control. And eventually they gave Jade Cargill the hot tag, and she came in, bulldozed through everybody, and they got the victory. What did you guys think of Jade Cargill's first WrestleMania match?
She looked good.
Yeah,
Looked great.
It was good.
I felt like it wasn't too long, it wasn't like too short.
Yes.
Like they definitely found like a nice medium time for her to have like such a high spot.
Yep.
And yeah,
I think they utilized it.
Remind me a lot of 6-man tags in like Attitude Era time, where it's probably under 10 minutes. Everybody looks good.
No nonsense.
Get out of there. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think it's a good way to help Jade get her feet more wet into the ring with the newer talent now, and it's a good way to establish her. Because I mean, she already looks intimidating, but she's also doing the work for it. Not too long, but just enough to get it like, okay, we're here now. We're at this point, WrestleMania spot, and she did a great job for what it was.
I mean, and also, I feel like it'll be interesting to see where the group goes. Are they going to become an official faction, or are they just kind of like loosely tied together? Like, we're kind of an alliance, but we're not an official faction. Like, we're not named the Big Three. We just kind of call ourselves that. We're not like Damage Control, where we have our own theme song and group. I'm kind of curious to see where that goes and how quickly it'll take for them to turn on each other. Because I feel like that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, because you remember we had that stare down between Bianca and Jade. Yeah, during the Rumble, and like people were like, "Oh, damn!" So I'm assuming that's going to be a thing later. Probably for a title match down the line, maybe. I don't know, but I can assume that they're going to rival those two because that's some big, those are two big names that everyone was anticipating. And when we actually got to see it for the first time, everyone was like into it. Going forward, they might not be a group, but they'll be like a group of friends, but not like a stable. Because I don't know, like even Damage Control, do they need like another group to rival? Kind of thing.
Like they do. I mean, who knows? Who knows if they'll stick around? I mean, I feel like they will for now. Bailey's obviously gone. She has the title. Yeah. I feel like Io Sky might get some kind of rematch because she's held it on for so long. But we'll see. The next match is the 6-pack tag team ladder match. This was crazy. We had flying bodies everywhere, people going through tables, people getting head first through ladders. We had DIY dressed as DX. We had a hot tag from R-Truth, which was probably my highlight of the night for that specific night. Just a really good like balls to the wall spot fest. Just really good match. And as people have predicted, and Michael Cole specified that the match won't end until both sets of straps were removed, which people made the assumption that means they're splitting up the belts. And lo and behold, that's what they did. And we got R-Truth and The Miz holding the Raw Tag Team belts, and we have A-Town Down Under, aka Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, holding the SmackDown tag titles. Right decision, wrong decision. What do you guys think? Also, what do you think of the match?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was really good.
I enjoyed it too. Overall, good match. The outcome, I'm okay with, but like, I don't know. Austin Theory's in that weird spot where, like, what do they do with him in a way? So, like, giving him the tag belt's good, but I don't know. Like, he was already built up to be this, like, big singles superstar,
Right.
Rivaling John Cena, and now he's relegated to this tag match and now has the tag belt and stuff. And, I mean, Truth and Miz winning, cool. Fine with that. But then, I don't know. We'll see about what A-Town and stuff like that. I mean, maybe this is a good chance for him to, like, shine in a different division and stuff and go from there. So, but overall, great match. Had a lot of fun with it. Usually ladder matches go pretty well. There isn't really any bad ones, really, sometimes. But, like, everyone else did their part. Everyone looked good, and it was a good outcome, I feel.
Sweet. Yeah, I don't know who else. I mean, I feel like the Judgment Day, they've had the belts long enough, and I feel like their story should be going in a new direction. It kind of feels like it already is. They're already kind of splintering. I mean, Damian Priest just won it, the title belt, but I have a feeling like he will be sort of a transitional champion and drop the belt at Clash at the Castle. We'll talk about that match in a second, but I think A-Town Down Under is the right team to hold it on SmackDown. I think they're really good as a tag team. They're both about the same age. They both have similar personalities that they're portraying on TV, both kind of young assholes, I think they have good chemistry, and they're also really good workers. So my issue initially with the concept of them splitting the actual tag team belts was if there were enough tag teams to, maintain some kind of interest, if it's not the same 3 tag teams going after those belts. And that was my worry when they split them up, But I think that they have a good number of tag teams on both Raw and SmackDown where you can have some actual feuds, and it's not just, New Day versus
The Usos.
yeah, the Usos, like number 556. I think they have more of a variety now, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of this conversation will probably be moot once the draft happens. There might be people who are just swapped out and won't be in teams or in factions anymore. So we'll see what they do creatively there. Maybe if they're in a faction, they just move them as a group instead of individually. But we'll see. Now, this next match that we'll talk about, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, really good on paper. But a lot of people thought this was a stinker. Did you guys think this match was good? Did you have any thoughts about Jey versus Jimmy?
The general consensus I saw online was that too, that it was just like, what is this? Like everyone was like, I saw those memes of like the matches and they're using that clip from Starship Troopers where it's like all the spacemen. It's like, I did my part. And then it shows the match of Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso's like, I didn't do shit, So I was like, what?
Super kick fest.
Yeah. The only thing I was thinking about, because I saw a meme that showed that like, this is the third match between actual brothers like wrestling each other. Like the first was Bret Hart and Owen, and then it was the Hardys, and then it was Jey and Jimmy. And I was thinking, I'm like, for some reason I understood it that like people were kind of shitting on it because like Bret and Owen fought very differently or wrestled very differently. Jeff and Matt also wrestled very differently too. The only thing they really had in common was like their finishers. Jimmy and Jey, man, they're both the same, like really in a lot of ways. And that's not to say because they're twins, but it's just like a lot of their fluidity when they wrestle. They're both like so identical that I feel like maybe that's what made it not so good either. Because I don't know. One thing, you're doing the same thing over again, sure, but there's only so many wrestlers that can get away with it because they're already a well-established, great big name like John Cena, sure. But like, if you had 2 John Cenas doing the same crap,
right?
Maybe like,
it'd be good,
So I could. It'd be interesting, but I don't know. I saw the match later because I was curious because I saw a lot of the online comments about it and I was like, but then I was already kind of like in my head already kind of like maybe I'm gonna see exactly what people are saying, and I saw it and I'm like,
you feel like you were influenced by their opinions,
maybe a little bit. But I saw it and I was like, yeah, because versus the rest of the card, it definitely felt like the weaker match, I would say.
What did you think, David, of yeet versus no yeet? Do you give it a yeet or do you give it a no yeet?
I give it a yeet. Like that match, like moveset wise, I don't know what everybody else was expecting.
Right.
Because they do have, it's kind of like watching Matt versus Nick Jackson or like something like that. Like
similar movesets.
Yeah. They got the same moves, like maybe if more happened in like their story leading up to it, other than just the one screwing up the one title shot and everything that had happened previously, like they did a lot of calling back to really old stuff.
Right.
But like maybe if they were in each other's hair, or maybe if they're in each other's hair more in the Rumble and things like that, like it would have. Maybe it was the build.
Could have been the build too.
I think that maybe they wrote it up. They didn't like necessarily write off the match, but there was still going to be more to the story since, Jay ended up tackling Jimmy off the ramp.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't think it's ended completely. Now, we'll talk about this on the Raw after Mania, but Jey Uso does get an opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash. So we'll see if that will be a clean match or if Jimmy Uso goes in and screws him over, kind of like what CM Punk did for Drew McIntyre. But we'll talk about that later. Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I held the belief that the build for this match and the potential outcome of Sami Zayn beating Gunther for the title felt, I don't want to say undeserved, but I feel like that's the word I want to use, because it felt like a short build for such a big title reign. He's held the title for 660. Gunther's held the title for 666 days. So it felt like Sammy's build, which was like about a month or so, if that, to fight Gunther, felt undeserved. But I gotta say, once this match actually happened, and the way that they built the match leading up to it, the last 2 weeks, involving his wife, the promo that he cut, that Sammy cut, that was really good. And then this match, I gotta tell you, was, I talked about the highlight of my night was like R-Truth, like as the moment, but the match of the night for me was Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental. I mean, I felt it was just so good. The pacing, Sami Zayn just knows how to sell moves and just make you feel like emotional. It felt like Rocky IV, he's just really good at what he does. And after this match, I changed my mind and I thought that he deserved it wholeheartedly, but I don't want to influence your opinions and put words in your mouth. So what this Intercontinental Championship match, how did you guys feel about the build, the outcome? What did you think?
I wasn't too big on the build, but I was happy with the outcome. I mean, it's kind of hard. Well, I wouldn't say it was hard, but it's like Sammy's kind of done a lot in the last year.
Right.
So maybe that's also why we felt it was really fast, because everything else, like especially like Bloodline stuff, was cooked really slow.
Yes.
Over a long time. So that might be part of it. But the match was great. Like, it was nice to like see on the internet all over like the callbacks to their matches in the Indies.
Mm-hmm. That brainbuster off the top turnbuckle.
Yeah, well, that was Sammy's finisher. Yeah,
that looked nasty in a good way.
It was cool that he got to bring that out.
Yeah, I don't think he actually tried it since the Indies, right? That's what folks on the internet say, but
yeah, well, brainbuster is not really a E-approved move like a power driver. Like, like they kind of have to get the approval to use those, and especially like even with power drivers, they only try to bring them out to make it seem like a big deal.
I mean, it's a new era, as they like to hammer. They hammered that home every night this week. Triple H era.
Yep.
Andres.
Yeah, I'd say even for me, like I didn't really pay too much attention to the rivalry. I mean, once we went to Raw and I saw it for myself, then I started looking more into it. And yeah, it was a lot. It was about like a short time really to be building it up, but really, it was actually one of my favorite matches too. I mean, it just shows to show you how good of workers they were for their promos and into the ring. So honestly, yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I was very happy with the outcome, and despite having a short build-up, I felt more drawn and more emotionally invested in this than like Jimmy and Jay, who have a lot of history, who had a lot more history than that. But like just the way they executed it this time around was really good.
I think Gunther was going to give a brief break, because he didn't show up on Monday. He had his lackeys come out and they were giving Sammy shit about winning the Intercontinental Championship, calling him a bum, etc., etc. I think they're just going to thrust Gunther into the world title picture at this point, because I don't know. I don't. Maybe they'll give him a rematch, but it's not like he's gonna win it back. I don't think, and having him lose twice to Sami Zayn will kind of make him look like a chump at this point. So, from my perspective, so I think Gunther is probably just gonna go into the world title picture. Do you guys agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I can see that. I think it'd be good too for him to rival Damian at this point. Two big guys, that'd be great. Bringing like new era, new night, new guys going up there. That'd be great.
Or even the WWE Championship. I mean, The Rock talked about how he's leaving for a while. Roman Reigns more than likely deserves a rematch. I mean, he's held the title for almost 4 goddamn years. But we'll see if he actually even wants to hold the title. That's the other thing. Maybe he feels a certain kind of way, and there's a weight to holding that championship. He might not just get it just because of that, for that reason. So we'll see. But I feel like Gunther has a potential first rivalry with Cody, or at least somewhere along this road to next year's WrestleMania, which will probably be The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. At least that's what they seem to be implying. Yeah, David, any thoughts? Any additional thoughts for this match? Or where do you think Gunther goes from here?
Gunther to the top.
Gunther to the moon, baby.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. That guy deserves it. He just has that swagger. All right, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Another really good match. I will say that this was below the Io Sky Bailey match that took place on Sunday, but this was still a really good match. And some background that I thought was crazy was that Becky Lynch going into this match, and probably during the match still, she had strep throat and like 102-degree fever that entire week. And she still did a freaking match, like, and did all those media scrums and questions. That's insane. I mean, one, insane because she's sick and she's probably giving other people a strep throat. But she's also sick and put on a really good match. Like that, this was also one of the top matches of the night for me. I mean, I think the right person won. I think Rhea Ripley should keep the belt, give it to her for a year. You know what? Maybe give her a Roman Reigns title reign. Let her have it for like 2 or 3 goddamn years, because I think that woman deserves it. And Becky Lynch, I mean, short term deserves a break because she's sick as hell, but she just released a book. She did a whole bunch of stuff. Seth Rollins is also taking a break, so they probably have some much deserved time with their children, and they'll be back. But what did you guys think? Do you think that Rhea Ripley should have retained? Any thoughts on this match?
I thought it was good. I mean, you know, it was the first match of a really long weekend.
Yes.
So I definitely have to go back and watch it, but I don't like.
It was the
I don't
opener.
remember. Yeah, I don't remember it being bad.
No, it was good. And I also liked her outfit because it was basically her book, the entire outfit. Like she had the cover and then bits of her pages from her book. Obviously not the actual pages from the book, but you know, screen captures or excerpts from them, and she turned it into this really cool looking outfit. And during her entrance, she had the augmented reality images of her book, and she went through it kind of like stone cold through like shattered glass, but she just like smashed through a book, you know, through an AR. So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Andres, what do you think? Rhea, mommy should stay on top, or did you think Becky should win?
I was okay with either or, but I think with your point to where she's going with Becky right now, with releasing a book, and obviously Seth is already taking a break, it's safe to assume that, you know, she'll be doing the same.
Yeah.
You know, instead of going around giving everyone COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was happy with either outcome, but I think it makes more sense, obviously, with Rhea Ripley retaining. It's good to give her that more dominating title run, because like with Roman, it was like, okay, who's the one that's gonna beat them? Mm-hmm. But now we get that in the women's side, so you have all of this potential, you know. Jade Cargill and, you know, Bianca Belair could be one of them, you know, like depending on where they're going with the future of the roster. But I think it's good to establish her as where she is now, and it makes it more curious now to see where it's going to go. Yeah. You know, going forward, especially now that the Judgment Day has both world titles.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of people I could see Rhea Ripley have a rivalry with.
Yeah, and I mean, her having someone that's more her stature, her height, you know,
exactly,
and her muscle build.
Like,
like, holy shit!
Give her a run for her money.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very fun. I think going forward with her.
I agree. All right, last match of the night, match 7, the main event. We had the tag team of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Dwayne, the Rock had a really cool looking entrance. I'll say that first and foremost. I think the other three, they got the cooler entrances on night 2 when they were doing their championship matches, but the Rock got his time to shine. He walked out and I was like, why is there just fire everywhere? And then they did the C4 Skycam because that's just ingrained in me. Every advertisement that they have in my face, I'm just calling it that. But the C4 Skycam showed the Brahma Bull logo on fire as he walked through. I mean, just like as an additional just like observation, the final boss character is, I think, the best thing that he's ever done as a character. Just the heel, the entrance, the way he carries himself is just like a real asshole, but just like everyone loves him too, you know, like this is what people wanted to get out of The Rock. They didn't want just like Fruity Pebbles, you know, poo poo, your mom was a dad poo poo jokes or whatever. Like he has that swagger and those funny jokes, but he's got an edge, a bigger edge to it. Like I can fucking kill you if I want to, or I'm also in charge and I could fire you. You know, like that extra layer that just gives them that new dimension. I mean, that's insane. He's 51. He's been in the business for a while, and he just got a new, you know,
dropping F-bombs too.
Dropping F-bombs left and right. I mean, he doesn't give a shit. Pardon my French.
I'm partial owner or something on the board or whatever. But it's crazy. You know, he can do it, man. I mean, you know, I've never seen anyone take so many like breaks in between it and come back and then still be just as good, if not better. And especially like you said, to your point, this is probably one of the best renditions of him ever.
And especially now that he's actively involved.
Yeah, come up with a new title for himself, considering he's had all these amazing, the People's Champ, you know, the Brahma Bull. Like, he just keeps adding to the list. It's amazing.
And people thought that he was going to get his own title belt when Stone Cold had his Smoking Skull belt. They thought that he was going to have like a Brahma Bull looking title belt.
I think the People's Champ, it wasn't concept. It does exist. They showed it. It's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I think the People's Champ belt that he has actually took inspiration from the Brahma Bull look, because that was supposed to be on his belt originally, the one from the Attitude Era. So I think they just took like a little bit of that and then just it looks nice. I actually liked it.
But it's actually cool. It's actually cool that it's actually happening.
Yeah, and it's cool that they gave it. I think it's a very nice like nod to with Muhammad Ali and stuff, and that whole history behind that and the name and stuff like that. So I think that was cool. And who gave it to him too? That was really nice. It's a good way to tie it into the Hall of Fame, you know, with bringing it on the show and him carrying it and not being like, oh, I just have this. No, I actually have it because it was, you know, the name itself was allowed for me to take, you know.
Now here's a question. Do you think that the belt that they gave The Rock during the Hall of Fame, was that a legitimate gift from Muhammad Ali's wife as a thank you to The Rock, or do you think it was a story point that they just kind of included within her Hall of Fame speech? Because now he's carrying that shit everywhere, and maybe he just thought that after the fact that it'd be a good thing to add onto his character that he has this title belt, because he can say, I'm the People's Champion. I won this from Muhammad Ali. He gave me the title of People's Champion, which is pretty cool, you know. As long as he's not defending that shit, because that'll make me look like a hypocrite complaining about AEW with too many belts.
The real world champion.
Yeah, or the FTW championship or whatever the hell they call it. Yeah,
the Taz belt. Yeah.
Do you think it's a story point, or do you think he just kind of took it after the fact? He's like, yeah, I'm using this.
You know, I don't know. Like, I kind of doubt that she like said, "Hey, WWE, I want to give him a belt and pay homage to Muhammad Ali and giving it to him." I don't know. I mean, that could be a case, but like, didn't really seem to like have any story-driven points with it, other than the fact that like he took it from her. She gave it to him. Thank you. And then like he just started showing up with it. And I mean, hard to say. I mean, if he was sticking around, that would give him more time to play with it, and then maybe we could kind of figure out. But I don't know.
They were listen, Mama Ali, you're getting inducted, and we want you to give The Rock this title belt.
But I'm the one getting a belt. I don't know. It's. I don't know if it's really to like also like kind of incorporate more his character, but it does seem very fitting too. At the same time, like that's a good question. But at the same time, when I see him with it and I see what happened, how he got it, I'm like, makes sense. Seems cool. You know, a nice belt too. You know, it's not like he just, you know, showed up with a new world title and all of a sudden the other one's retired and no one knows what the hell happened. You know, it's like, wait a minute, like they changed the design again, you know, but like we know why he has it and he's carrying it around with pride as he should. And I think it's more just a WWE thing. I don't know if it's so much her saying, hey, I want to spend thousands of dollars and make this thing. You know?
Yeah, I don't think
if it is,
I don't think
cool
she
too.
paid for it. Or maybe she did. I mean, she probably has hella money. Let's be real.
Sure. You could have also just said, hey, I want to gift him something, you know, but I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah,
I think it's more of
the Fanatics logo on the leather strap, so I can't tell you if it's real or not. But okay, we just went on a side tangent off his belt and his entrance. But entrance really cool. Roman Reigns I think he got a pretty standard entrance. He got his like orchestra on night 2. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. And then the match happens. And again, I just talked about The Rock and his personality. Also, in the match, he looked... I mean, I want what he's drinking. Maybe it's just the Papa Tui that he's selling and putting on his face. But he looks great, man. He's 51. He looks better than a lot of 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. Yep. And... I mean, work really well in the match. I will say that there was a good period where some of it didn't drag, but they kind of, I think maybe padded some of the lack of ring, or maybe some of that ring rust by just kind of brawling on the outside, because that was a pretty good chunk of the match was them kind of like, you know, smacking each other, going outside, going around, you know, hitting the guy on the table. And that was, I feel like that was like 40 or 50% of the match. Would you guys say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it happened outside the ring.
A lot of it was outside of the ring, but I think it was still a good match, especially near the end. There was a lot of drama, and we got the expected outcome of, well, I wasn't sure who was going to get pinned, but we got the Bloodline winning, and the way it ended was The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes with a rock bottom and a people's elbow, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Which looked really good. Oh, also, and as a side, The Rock did a really good sharpshooter. A lot of people give him shit for doing the sharpshooter really bad, and he did a really good sharpshooter. Because I was looking at time. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, "Wait, why are people giving him shit?" I thought it looked like a perfectly nice sharpshooter, and people are saying like that was like one of the only good ones.
Hanging out with Natty since he's been back.
Yeah, I think he was. That whole dungeon and that whole group was helping him train, if I'm not mistaken. They created his own training, ring and area, and I mean, he looked like he hasn't lost a step, or at least the way the match was produced and created made him look really good.
He did. There was that one funny clip that I actually missed it when I watched the match, but I saw on Instagram there was a part where he was by the corner, and I think Seth was on his knees and he punched him,
Mm-hmm.
and he slipped and fell, and he fell, almost hit his head into the turnbuckle.
I don't remember that.
And then Corey Graves was like, "Oh my god!"
I don't remember that.
It was a small clip. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it had to have been during that match, unless it was mixed up with the final. But no, it had to have been.
I don't remember that, but I do remember everyone memed him getting speared, and then when he was making that big face,
he was selling that. The way he was selling that, it was funny.
Yeah, that was really funny. And I was surprised.
My bad, bro.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and then Roman Reigns was like looking like, oh crap, my bad.
Yeah.
But I was actually kind of surprised that Mama Rhodes wasn't as involved. I thought she was going to get a little more physically involved in the match, but maybe that's just my assumption that she was. I feel, although like they kept using her name and putting her in promos and stuff, so I just thought there was going to be some kind of like, I don't know, she goes in the ring and just beats the shit out of him with that belt or something like that, but that didn't happen. But what did you guys think of the outcome or the overall match? Any thoughts or comments on this before we move on to night 2?
It was madness, but it was great.
It was madness.
It was madness, yeah. Madness, but, you know, pretty predictable too. I mean, but still, despite that, I mean, because I think everyone really felt like they're going to really set this up for Cody to like have to have all ends against him, you know, odds against him, excuse me. But still overall great. Like, we just had a feeling that, you know, Bloodline was going to win regardless, you know.
Yeah.
It was just going to be chaotic and stuff. Definitely not as chaotic as I thought. Like, the night 2 was actually more chaotic, a lot more chaotic. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
I thought that one would be maybe just as much, but you know, but no, still very good. I still enjoyed the match, despite feeling like I'm pretty confident I know who's gonna win. But like you said, I didn't know who's gonna do the pin or not.
Yep.
I noticed The Rock was a rock bottom to a people's elbow on pay-per-views in order to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Chaotic, but really good and expected. Like we all hope that it'll be Bloodline rules, and that's what happened because that's what should have happened. The build in the actual match is what gets to me. Even if it's like a predictable ending, how you deliver it really matters. Yep. All right, night 2. So this night we got again they're hammering that this is the Triple H era home. We got Stephanie McMahon coming down to the ring, and I was actually kind of surprised because a lot of people are like, oh, all the McMahons are gone. We're never getting a McMahon on television again, yada, yada, yada. And we got Stephanie, and she also got a new theme song. So I was like, is she getting more involved? Because why would you just remix her theme song into a rock version just for shits? And I mean, maybe that whole new era thing was they were just taking it literally and just changing everybody's theme song. But yeah, she came down to the ring, borrowed a couple of words from Triple H to ask everybody if you're ready. And she repeated herself, and then she welcomed everybody to WrestleMania. And they're probably going to clip that to remove the welcome to WrestleMania from Vince McMahon, because this is a new era. This is the Paul Levesque era. And we got the the PLE, opening with Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was on the short side, but I thought it was really a good way to open the show. I thought it was the right match to open the show.
Yep.
And
agreed.
And the entrances were really cool. I don't know what the hell Seth Rollins was wearing, but I'll have what he's having, you know, when it was time for talking about, you know, creative and their entrances. I'm sure he had input into what the hell he was wearing. I think it was some kind of local Philadelphia group. I don't know what it was. The Philadelphia, I don't know. I was gonna say something stupid, but a lot very avian. Lots of bird feathers. I'll say lots of colors. It felt like some kind of weird anime acid trip Yoshimitsu kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it, but I thought it was cool.
What was it that said it was Liberace?
CM Punk. CM Punk, I think, said Liberace would be rolling in his grave or something along those lines. Rest in peace. But really good match. It was on the shorter side, but I was happy that Drew won, and I was a little sad that he lost about 15 seconds later when Damian Priest came in to cash in. But honestly, he kind of deserved it. I mean, first of all, I don't know what that crawl was. Like, that was super sexual. From my perspective, I was like, why are you crawling that slow to CM Punk with your title belt on all fours on the announcer table? But Yeah, I mean, he was just talking crap to CM Punk. He was telling the camera guy to get a shot of this because he wants to hang this in his office or whatever, with him holding the belt and just an injured Punk, quote unquote. And Punk basically like tripped his ass. He fell on his back. He took off the brace and then he started beating the crap out of him, curb stomping him. You hear Damian Priest's theme song come in. He cashes in. I honestly thought that Drew McIntyre probably needed a little more of a whooping to really get that loss, because I don't know, a couple smacks with the brace and him slipping, and he did the what's Damian Priest's finisher called? Oh crap! Well, his modified choke slam thing. The bisexual Undertaker bonded slam. He just did that move and then he just pinned him. I was like, I feel like they needed a little more of an ass whooping just to make it a little more believable. But I popped, and so did everyone else in the crowd. What did you guys think of this match?
It reminded me a lot of Rollins versus Brock when they were put in a similar situation when they went up first at a Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good way to put Rollins in with like a bigger dude.
Yep.
Like even though him and McIntyre could have those type of matches, it was nice to see like a brawl.
I agree.
And then McIntyre's taunts were hilarious, like tweeting bored at work.
What did he tweet fuck right after he lost?
Yeah. Go to the tweet, he's like fuck.
Yeah, he just did like a follow-up tweet in that same thread. He just said fuck. That was so good. And again, he got at the I was watching the Slammies. I'm like, that's a whole other thing. I'm like, we have too much to cover. That's how much wrestling was taking place this weekend. I don't even have a section for Stand and Deliver or the Slammies because there was way too much goddamn wrestling in like a 4 days. I'm sorry, SmackDown, 3 shows on Saturday. A whole crazy emotional draining show on Sunday, and then we had the Raw after Mania. Lots of wrestling this week, but
Hall of Fame till midnight.
Oh yeah, I forgot Hall of Fame. Thank you. Like I even forgot about the Hall of Fame, which was on SmackDown. Insane. But do you guys think that Damian Priest cashing in was the right idea for WrestleMania?
Yes, I actually completely forgot about it, and it was funny because, like in the last podcast, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna do it," and then it actually felt like an element of surprise, and it was perfect. I love the shot too of Punk, like hearing the music, turning around, and then the camera just catches his smirk, and he's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna beat his ass some more, and then throw him in the ring really quick," So like, no, it was awesome. It was perfect. I think it was a very good beginning match, and it was good to just get you jumping, and like, oh hell yeah. Good start to the WrestleMania night too.
I mean, everyone was giving him shit that he wasn't cashing it in these specific instances. They're like, "What are you, dumbass? Like you got the case. This guy just got the crap beat out of him, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna stand back and not do anything." So
that's true. Yeah.
And Triple H made a comment on that too, by the way. And I feel like this might have been a last minute decision because he saw that people were talking shit, that it made Damian Priest look like an idiot for not cashing in earlier, which now makes me feel a little bad about Drew McIntyre because he might have actually just had the belt and won and got his WrestleMania moment without this extra, voodoo. But I think he's going to get his match and victory at Clash at the Castle, which is in Scotland. I don't think that's a coincidence. And that's happening in June or July, one of those summer PLEs. But I think that he's getting it back. And it'll probably be, well, I think Punk might be later, but I think he's going to get it back at Clash at the Castle. David, do you think Damian Priest getting it now is a good idea? What do you think of Bondage Undertaker?
It works. We give him shit, but he's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's 41. I mean, I feel like he deserves it. He needs, I felt like he needed some kind of big title because he did deserve it. You look at Backlash last year in Puerto Rico, they put on a hell of a banger. He made Bad Bunny look like $1 million, and you know a lot of it was, I mean, obviously the producers backstage, but also him, because you need a worker who just knows how to make you look good and himself look good, and he's one of those guys. And he's also just a really nice guy, you know, off camera, and those interviews and seeing him at those press conferences. I think it couldn't have happened to a better guy. So.
Agreed.
Long may he reign for 2 months until Drew McIntyre.
He's came a long way since being some random guy on the undercard of the original All In.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the other thing. Like you mentioning that, like that's so crazy how far he came. When was that? 2019, 18,
yeah,
something like that. I mean, what is it? Okay, 6 years.
Does anybody have a tattoo of it?
I don't. Thankfully, but just thinking how far he came in those 6 years, I mean, insane. Congrats to him. 2018. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, 6-7 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Long way.
Long enough.
But congrats to him. I think this might be out of order a little now, where it's a little blurry, but we're gonna go into Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament in a 6-man tag team Philadelphia street fight, and the special referee was Bubba Ray. It's Bubba, right? Not Diva. It's the other one. It was Bubba Ray Dudley. Dudley Ray. He was. I thought he was an interesting choice as a special referee. It made sense because it is Philadelphia, the home of ECW. Do you feel like he was the right spot? Like, if we were thinking of an ECW legend to referee this match, do you think there was a better person besides Bubba Ray?
No, I think if you went with like the main Sabu.
Tommy Dreamer with the Glock.
No, Bubba was probably the best choice. He also has a lot of history in WWE as well, and he's also a very fan favorite for, you know, being part of Team 3D and all that. So he's a very recognizable face. I feel like the next best thing you could have done is maybe RVD, but you can't. So him or Devon would have been the best choice.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking, was like someone like RVD. But to be honest with you, I wasn't even expecting a special referee because they never
mentioned like anything. Like,
so this was a nice surprise. And again, this match was just street fight, like just you threw that word around, crash dummies. I think someone did. This was that kind of match. This was like, we're just beating the crap out of people with kendo sticks. We're putting people through tables. There was a really nasty kind of like chair spot that one of them just like landed on like the back part of the chair.
Yeah.
That looked gross. And I think it was Karrion Kross who did that, by the way.
Yeah.
And that table that they put up and then they put the guy on and then it just fucking smashed and went down. To be fair, they really thought on their feet and they just grabbed another one and then did it. But there was no one was like, oh, you fucked up or whatever, because it's not who plans for the table to fall through. Like, what are you gonna do, you know? And luckily they had a bunch of spares. What did you guys think of this match?
I enjoyed it. And I'll be honest, I'm not really too familiar with the Final Testament grouping. But I did vote for them to win because I was just like, I'll just throw a random pick in there. But it was okay. Like, it wasn't too bad. I did enjoy the match. I was actually there's a funny spot in there because when we started talking about the match, I was thinking there was like a part where like it's just chaos going on. All the guys are fighting each other. The two girls are on the apron and there was a table behind them. They just like they both just fell together. I mean, I know one of them was like doing a maneuver and they just both fell through the table. It was just more of like one of those things like you're paying attention to this and all of a sudden you just hear bam and you're like, wait, what? And then you're like, what happened?
Yeah, because it was like in the is it background, not foreground. Like there was shit happening here and they were there, but the camera was kind of looking at it. Like you were looking at it from a distance. And I think they must have thought it was like some kind of creative decision to do it. But yeah, you're looking at BFAB and Scarlett, and they're just kind of like knocking each other, and then she just freaking pushes both of themselves like backwards onto the table. Props to them.
To her. I forget what that wrestling move is called. I used to see it a lot back in the day where people would align themselves and then
Like a
put their arm over their shoulder. Was it that? Yeah, that's what it was. Or at least that's what they attempted. But I just remember seeing them just both fall and it didn't look like anything. And then I saw the replay of it. And I was like, oh, they were actually doing a move, but still just very random because they were just pretty much gone from the match for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean that fucked them up pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't blame.
But
them.
I mean,
It was a super table.
Yes, it was a super table. I haven't seen a two stack table spot in a while before.
Yeah.
I think the last time, I mean, I'm sure they've done it plenty of times since then, but the one that vividly I remember is Edge versus John Cena. It's 2006. I think it was TLC in the SummerSlam. They had like that giant feud, and they had like those stacked tables, and he was on top of the ladder, and then FU'd him through those tables, which is a crazy spot. But yeah, I mean, the things that stuck out to me for this match, obviously Bubba Ray, he whooped out the glasses and he put them on. They made that a big dramatic thing. They did the "what's up" spot by having the guy on his back and his legs up like this. I forgot who was on the top turnbuckle. Someone from Street Profits. It wasn't Bobby Lashley. Maybe it was Montez. But yeah, did the spot. I mean, a good match. I can't. I'd give it like, if I was Dave Meltzer, I'd give it 3 out of 5 stars. If I'm honest, it was entertaining. It didn't.
Yeah, it was entertaining
it did what
for
it
sure.
needed to do. Yes. Okay. Now we got LA Knight versus AJ Styles, which was it was good. I mean, I don't have too much to say on this specific match. I thought their feud, the buildup was really good. I liked the home invasion thing, even though it's, you know, a tried and true thing. They've done it a number of times, but there are different ways you can go about it, and they had a fresh new take on home invasions, which is apparently recorded and legal in WWE land.
Or Georgia.
Or Georgia, apparently. Maybe that's what it was. It's because it's in Georgia. Yeah, good build up. I thought the actual match was really good, and the right person won in LA Knight. What did you think? Did you guys? Was that? Yeah, he had the new theme song at WrestleMania, right? Or would?
Yeah.
Did you like that new song?
I didn't really hear it. Like,
I heard it, but I don't have strong feelings on it yet. I think I have to hear it a couple of times.
I didn't really have much of an opinion just yet on it. I like the old one, but
yeah, I just thought it was like,
I don't know if I'm gonna like this one. Yeah. I like the match. I did think I'm happy with LA Knight winning, but I kind of felt like toward the end, like it was weird because like it looked like AJ Styles was just like beating the crap out of him for a good like 10 solid minutes, and it kind of dragged a little. And then LA Knight hit him with his finisher once, and then he won. And I was like, oh, okay. But still, like I enjoyed it. But like I said, like the build up to the end, I was kind of like, huh, all right. Like I kind of was like, all right, I guess it's fine. But good match.
Do you think it's done? Do you think they're done with each other? Or is there going to be some kind of rubber match? I guess they need 2 matches or 3 matches to be a rubber match. But do you think there's a rematch in the future? Perhaps a backlash?
Backlash.
I think
soon, so maybe.
Backlash.
Yeah.
Maybe backlash and then maybe settle it. Maybe there. But I think I feel like AJ needs to have more of a rival with his old crew, to be honest. And then LA Knight can probably get moved up a little into the scene of maybe a title match.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the new theme song, which screams to me, "I'm a bad guy. Here's my new song," and they're gonna make it a more permanent thing. I don't think it's a temporary heel turn. It's not like he's just mad at LA Knight. I think he's just gonna be an a-hole for a little bit, which you know, for Bullet Club, or what do they call it, Bullet Club in WWE, or is it just the club?
Bullet Club.
Tell me this. How does this work with trademarks and stuff? Because I hear Bullet Club in like 3 different wrestling promotions, and somehow no one's getting sued.
I thought
because
they were just. I thought they're the OC, or is that the old one? The old name they used to have.
He's talking about like Bullet Club and TNA and everywhere
yeah,
else.
you have it in AEW, don't you? New Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because you
Well,
add like another word to it, like Bullet Club Gold.
they all have working agreements with each other. Well, those three.
Oh, okay.
So that could be another reason why. It's just permission to use the name. Like WWE is only allowed to use it in like mention, but there can't be like, oh, this is Bullet Club Entertainment.
Bullet Club, D's nuts.
Yeah.
Bullet Club Silver. That makes sense. Yeah, I was just curious. But yeah, any additional thoughts on this? Do you guys feel like they're getting a rematch, or is this feud done after WrestleMania?
I'm okay with it ending, but I wouldn't be surprised if it continued a little bit longer.
David?
I think it's done.
Yeah.
I think LA Knight's one of those people that could kind of have one and dones right now and just keep moving up.
Yeah, put him in the title picture already, or
Yeah.
some kind of title. Like, I feel like he should have some kind of strap on him. You know, maybe the United States Championship is in his future, like SummerSlam or something like that. Because he's another. I mean, he's another guy who's getting up there. I think he's 39 or something like that. And now I feel like back 20 years back, even if it in 30 years back, there was a lot of this like, oh, once you're in your late 30s or early 40s, you're basically like old news or old, kind of like what they were doing with like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, that kind of stuff. At least from Vince McMahon's perspective. But I feel like, again, a lot of people say, their diets are different. People are working out differently. So a lot of guys who are in their 40s or even early 50s, like The Rock, for example, Sting is crazy, and I think he's an outlier, and he's in his 60s. But I mean, he still did a great match, like as his retirement match,
Yeah.
But
Plus, a lot more safety precautions in the ring too. There's not as much of like hardwood as they're getting hit on anymore. I mean,
right,
and plus, they're implementing a lot more time off too, which is nice.
right,
So it's kind of salvaging their careers.
yeah. But
Have you ever heard how many days Hulk Hogan used to work?
that's the other thing. But he didn't work that many dates, did he?
Who knows? It's Hulk Hogan.
It's true.
You're right. He once said he was somewhere in Japan or something, and
He had 3 matches in 3 days, but it was actually 1 day.
yeah,
The way
exactly.
time zones work.
Yeah, exactly. Purely based on time zone. So who knows with Hulk Hogan? But yeah, I mean, I think LA Knight's going to be moving on to another feud. I think it should be involving some sort of title. Maybe he can be. Once this draft happens, we'll get a clearer picture of where everyone's at, but perhaps he can be involved with the Judgment Day, do a match with Damian Priest, or, have a feud with Logan Paul, because they could maybe, which we'll talk about now, this Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, this might extend into the next couple of PLEs, but I mean, Logan Paul's another one who you can kind of like put him in a different feud, and I feel like it could work, So speaking of this next upcoming match, we got Logan Paul versus Randy Orton, Kevin Owens in a triple threat match. Again, like, man, Logan Paul, God, like, he's just really, really good at what he does. I know, you can tell, and I could just tell based on like his interviews and stuff, he doesn't necessarily like being hated. Like, he wants to be liked, but whatever it is, like, he just doesn't come across as a nice, genuine person, you know what I mean, in his like interviews and stuff. I don't know what it is, but he's just a really good bad guy, and you got to give him props to that. But I saw him on like the Pat McAfee show and stuff, and when they started chanting for him, he like lit up. He was like so happy. Yeah, they really love me. They really love me. But again, like I think he just doesn't understand, like, from his perspective, like, you have to understand, and I know this, that he was a younger person, and I'm not going to give him crap for what he did on YouTube and stuff, because people do dumb shit when they're younger. He's an older person now, and I'm not going to hold it against him. But a lot of people do hold it against him in terms of his YouTube history, and from like an average fan's perspective, you were like this really big dick, like dickish boxer, and you came down to the ring with like an expensive Charizard card. That's not what like a nice person does. And you came into this business, no fault. I mean, he took it to it really well. I mean, that's the one thing. People are probably jealous that he's super good at it. But then he has like this sponsorship with Prime Energy, and everyone knows that's your company, and you put your logo on the ring. Like you're giving yourself fuel to look like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but that, like, people make that's like heel tactics for most people. You know, even if it's business, but. This match was really entertaining. We had Kevin Owens, we had we had Randy Orton. Or Kevin Owens came out in like this golf cart, and he rolled down the ramp, and then Randy Orton's theme song came. He backed that thing back up there, and he asked Randy Orton if he wanted to ride, and then rolled their asses down to the ring. Really entertaining. And Logan Paul retained. There was like these seeds of potential a potential feud with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, but they knew that they had to like fight each other because someone had to win. So like that just makes sense, you know, that they ended up fighting each other eventually. And who was the Logan Paul lackey that was in the Prime bottle this time? I Speed something. I Show Speed. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like there should be like a new person behind that in that Prime bottle every single time they do that spot, because that's always entertaining, and that always seems like it's just part of a Logan Paul match now on a PLE. But what did you guys think of this match specifically? Do you think Logan Paul should have retained, or should they have given the strap to Orton or Owens?
I think it was the right call to let Logan Paul retain. KO and Randy Orton are kind of the guys that don't need it at this point.
Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed. It'd be funny to have your own logo on the ring and then lose and all that.
Does more for him. Does more for the person that beats Logan Paul.
Yeah. And to be fair, I was gonna talk shit about that logo, but I also said like wait and see until what it looks like. Because like he revealed the original one, and that was obnoxious, but the actual implementation at WrestleMania was not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it was pretty subtle compared to like, you know, the dude wipes or the gin and juice ad placements, because that was like on every ring post. But good match overall. We can jump into the Io Sky versus Bayley match for the WWE Women's Championship. This was a really, really good match. This was like the second match to the last match that we'll talk about. But really, like Io Sky doesn't get enough credit of how good of a wrestler she is. She needed more of these kind of championship matches with this amount of time going into them. That rose plant into the back flip or whatever it was, like that was so cool. Good.
That was really cool.
That was really good. And Bayley came out with like this Egyptian. I was trying to figure out why she was going with like this specific look. Someone mentioned something that in her hometown there might be some kind of park that is like has some kind of Egyptian name or something, and that's where she got that from. I thought maybe she was a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan or something, and she just wanted to be like Yu-Gi or something. But yeah, she had the new haircut. She was basically coming out with like these 6 guys holding her up. Io, I forgot. Did she have the geishas, or was that that was Damage Control?
No, that was night 1.
Yeah,
she just came out with Damage Control, but the Titantron and the lighting actually was really cool.
Yeah,
she still had a really nice entrance.
Yeah. So I mean, but this match was really good. Though. Yeah.
But she came out was funny because she just kept like screaming and like stumbling. Like she didn't like, I don't know. She just kept doing this and like falling this way and going this. It was kind of cool. But
I told Arthur,
it was a different one.
I told Arthur was watching with us that she was just kind of like channeling Shinsuke Nakamura or something. He does the whole convulsions and shaking and going up and down and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas
but she had a really nice entrance. I'm surprised that Damage Control like they didn't come with her all the way. I thought, but they came like partially down the ramp, and then that was it. I thought like maybe it was going to be like their whole thing because they've always interfered in a lot of matches, but no, it was actually just straight down the middle with both. Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't expect any I thought there would be some kind of interference, but
with this match, like this was one of my more anticipated matches because I did like Damage Control a lot too, and so I was very much anticipating this one. The first half I was a little like like with Io Sky, because I know that she can do really good maneuvers and she's a very good wrestler. I know that she was, but I felt the first half I was like not seeing a lot of that. And then they were trying to sell Bailey's knee being hurt again and stuff. But yeah, no, it definitely picked up and got really good. And I was like, oh hell yeah! Like I really ended up liking the match a lot. But just in the very beginning, I countered like I was already expecting more because like I said, Io Sky doesn't get enough credit, and I know she can do a lot more. And I was like, where is that? And, this is WrestleMania 40. But once it started to pick up, it really went, and I was very happy with the match.
They were telling
either or win. Yeah, it was very good. I did enjoy the match. That whole like flip up out of the finisher and stuff, and the recovery of that was awesome. It was good. I did enjoy the match very much, and I was okay with the outcome too. Either way. I was probably more curious though if Bailey won, which is what happened, to see where that goes forward. Because I know with Damage Control, like they may break them up or they may keep them together. I don't know. Interesting to see going forward what they will do with them too.
David,
and good for Bailey too. Finally.
Yes, I agree.
Outside of like the heavyweight matches, this is probably my favorite match.
Yeah,
it was nice to see those two with a lot of time.
Yeah, they did have a lot of time.
A lot of time, and I mean, they mentioned this. A lot of people who were just kind of commenting on this after that Bailey was the last horsewoman to get her WrestleMania like victory in like this kind of singles match championship type thing. So again, like long overdue, really deserved. I mean, I remember when I was watching her when she was the hugger on NXT, and then she came out on the main roster in like 2014, 15, something like that. Damn, a decade. That is crazy that she's been around. But
yeah,
man, but well deserved. I want to see. I'm excited for SmackDown and see like what she says. What happens with Damage Control? I don't think there's going to be any kind of reconciliation. Maybe there will be, but if I was Bailey, I wouldn't trust those bitches if I was her. Yeah, where do you see Bailey going from here? Do you think that she'll be on SmackDown or Raw? Who do you think she could be feuding with next? Because I think she's a babyface, right? So you'd think she'd be probably pairing up with a heel. I don't think they'd flip her back to a heel that quickly. I don't know who would her opponent be.
Well, she might be like Cody and just be on both,
Potentially.
Like appearance, like more on SmackDown. I think she's SmackDown, but maybe make appearances here and there on Raw, and then maybe develop a rivalry that way. But who on SmackDown could she really right now? It could continue the rivalry between her and Io.
Tiffany Stratton.
And Stratton,
You can say Io Sky. I mean, Io Sky deserves a rematch. I mean, I think that makes sense. Yeah,
they may continue that storyline longer because with Damage Control, I don't know if they really like have an idea exactly what to do with them either at this point. I mean, obviously, the Kabuki Warriors are the tag team champions, but then Dakota Kai. I'm sorry. She's just there, What do you do with her too?
I mean, that's a good point. It could be other women in Damage Control who she can feud with. I feel like that's a pretty big heel group. Like that's a huge percentage of the women heels on SmackDown is in Damage Control.
Yeah. And then Asuka also would be like technically another contender as well. I mean, she's won the title how many times?
Right.
But it's like, do we really need to? I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I don't know.
I mean, I feel like
Asuka going to her
Stratton's got to be doing something, going into after this WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
How long has Charlotte been injured?
Oh, good point. I don't think she's coming. I think she's still got a little bit to go. I don't think she's coming back anytime soon. So I think in the immediate future, we might see a rematch with someone from Damage Control. I don't know if it's necessarily Io Sky, although that makes the most sense because she's held the title for a bit and probably that rule that they used to have where like, oh, the champion who loses gets a rematch. I feel like they've kind of like not been following that rule that much. So we'll see. But
could also create drama later on for Damage Control. Like,
yeah,
maybe Asuka goes for the title and then Io's pissed. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of potential.
There's a lot of opportunities there. All right, so we are now down to the main event of WrestleMania Night 2, the match that I think 99% of the people were there for and wanted to see, with Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the they better change this name, Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Just call it the WWE Championship. I don't think it's necessary to call it Undisputed because you have a World Heavyweight Championship on the other show. So he doesn't have, you still have another belt. So just call it, just call it the WWE Championship. But I digress. This match was, everyone uses that word, but it was cinema. I think it was cinema. I think it was, people called it Avengers Endgame. I agree. I think it was like Avengers Endgame. I think that the build to the match, like the way that they wrestled, like the crowd was into the whole thing. Like they knew that they were expecting some sort of interference eventually. So you'd think that some people are just going to be sitting on their hands and just kind of like half being there and waiting to see, everyone jumping in and doing that. But the energy in Night 2 specifically, and I think this is an important comment to make too about the audience energy, because a lot of people were complaining about Night 1's energy from the audience. In Night 2, that was not a problem. They were really into it. I don't know if they just had a new crowd of people with tickets that just had more energy. What was that?
Temperature. It was like a 10, 15 degree different.
You know, that probably also affects mood, so you're probably right. So warmer. I mean, Stephanie McMahon came in like shoulderless dress and whatever. I was like, I thought it was cold. You're right. It was warmer. Very into it early on, and yeah, the interferences were tastefully done. It wasn't like everyone's just like coming out. Like there was some kind of logic to it. It was like, oh, look, Roman Reigns looks like he's about to lose. Jimmy Uso's going to come out. Then Jey Uso comes out because he's going to knock him out. And then they kept doing it in that specific way. Anytime Roman Reigns looked like he was about to lose, they brought someone else out. And then John Cena came out. And The Undertaker came out. Who am I missing? I feel like there were other people who came out. I think that was it.
Oh, Seth Rollins came out.
Seth
really
Rollins,
quick.
right. I'll comment on that in a second. But yeah, crazy, like just the whole thing, the build, the audience,
just chaos like you wanted.
The ending, it was chaos like I wanted, but it was like the way they executed it, I thought was done tastefully. And even I felt like Undertaker made a little bit of sense because there was history between The Rock and Undertaker and Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. Didn't Roman Reigns also beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Isn't it? Yeah, because Undertaker's like,
he retired on the first time.
Yeah,
and he left his gloves in the ring and shit.
Yeah, so I mean, like there was some kind of tie there. With Stone Cold, I thought. I was expecting that too. I was a little disappointed he didn't show up because that glass break, that would have been like deafening, but maybe they did like some kind of weird last minute change. I don't know. A lot of people were reading into Triple H's tweet, which apparently he tweeted at exactly 3:16 p.m. So, our monkey brains and finding patterns, we try and connect the dots where there might not be any, but what did you guys think of this match? This crazy ass made me cry match. Initial impressions.
It was great. I think it was a great match. Yeah, it was chaos. It was good. Yeah, same. When I was watching it, I was hyped. I was loving the interferences and the response to another interference to that. Cena showing up, very surprising. I guess like surprising but not surprising. But I was still really happy that he just like showed up, came and saved the day for that moment, and then The Rock coming out, and we had that nice stare down between the two of them, kind of reliving that moment of, when they had their WrestleMania main events twice in a row.
Yeah, I think it was.
Now we're gonna have 3 times in a lifetime.
28 and 29.
Yeah, that was awesome. Funny how went like that, and then like went to hit him, and then rock bottom, done. Yeah, and I agree too. I was so expecting Stone Cold and hoping it was gonna be Stone Cold. That was the best option, honestly. Undertaker being there, cool. But no, like Stone Cold and The Rock, I was telling you guys before, I thought they were gonna set something up for that. Like I literally did. And that would have been probably the best place to do it.
Taker.
Yeah.
You could.
I mean, that's what they're.
It should have been Stone Cold, but I'm still okay with The Undertaker showing up. The American Badass version, I guess.
No, that was the 6 Feet Under podcast version.
Yeah, it's 6 Feet Under podcast.
6 Feet Under
Jack
podcast.
Daniels Undertaker version.
Okay.
Glass
I don't know.
Jack
I just
Daniels.
saw him and I was like, when I saw him, I was like, I mean, it's cool, but like, I just kind of wish he had his actual Undertaker like hat and jacket on, maybe more so.
Honestly, was fine with him just being in, like the bandana and stuff. I feel like if he had his Undertaker gear, I thought it might have been a little hokey. Just because I don't know. Like I was looking at it from perspective, like I'm the Undertaker / Mark Calloway, and I'm just coming in to help instead of like I'm Ookie Spooky Undertaker. I mean, but to be fair, he gonged and appeared, and then gonged and disappeared. So me just walking through this.
That's what I mean. I don't know. I think it's pretty aesthetic purposes of like, shit. I mean, it was still shit regardless, but
he left that stuff in the ring when he retired for real.
That's true. He's like, oh shit, I got no more. Like it just disappeared in the ring.
He put it back on in his Hall of Fame speech, and he did say never say never. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm
put it right back on. He literally put it all back on.
Yeah.
I'm fine with him doing occasional appearances, and if it's just a choke slam, that's cool. But I don't think he should come back and do a match because he's retired at least 3 times. I feel like he's put the boots in that on the ring. There, he did the AJ Styles Boneyard match. That was good. I don't think he needs to come back again.
That was his official last match, right?
Yeah, last match.
Okay. Last.
What about you, David? What did you think of this whole match and the ending? I know you guys were commenting a little bit how your tribal chief lost and all that, but what are your actual feelings? Shoot from the hip, if you will.
It's cool. Cody's the guy to do it. The match itself was really good. I feel like match quality wise, it wasn't like other than the last 20-30 minutes of just chaos. Like that was probably like one of the more well put together Roman matches in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think quote of the night was him hitting a crossroads and being like, that move doesn't beat anybody.
Yeah, that was so good. Man, you got to give Roman credit. Like he's just so good just thinking on his feet, and like that shit just makes me laugh when he just does these comments. Or when he was like just his whole streak, like I'm gonna give him his flowers right now. Like the promo stuff he did against Seth Rollins and calling him a geek and a nerd. And he's like, you want Seth Rollins, you want tribal chief money. Like he was like, or when he mentioned Seth Rollins, he's like, yeah, that's right, no pop.
I love the Seth Rollins segment too. That was beautiful.
So that's the thing I wanted to comment on. So the way that the Shield entrance hit, and I know this was probably not going to happen, but I was like, is Dean Ambrose going to come out? Like, why the hell is the Shield music playing? And I thought it was going to be Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I don't know why. He's obviously in AEW, but I was like, you know what? I feel like anything can happen, you know. But Dustin Rhodes didn't show up, so why would Dean Ambrose show up? You know. So yeah, so they play the song, and just the way that the camera was doing it, like it almost felt like Seth Rollins was like an after, like he just got yeeted in like an off screen, like he got killed off screen. You know, the way they shot the camera, it felt like, because it was literally like, okay, where is he coming? Where is he coming? Okay, and then he was like just kind of in the corner, and he's wearing his cosplay gear, and then just fucking Roman Reigns just spears him or whatever, and then he's like gone. Like there wasn't a real focus there.
Yeah, I think it was Superman Punch. I think he came in and just
with the chair.
Yeah, so that
was cool.
That was really good, and a lot of people have brought this up too. But it's a good point, and again, long-term storytelling, 10 years in the making. Seth Rollins became a heel because, that's how they broke up the Shield. He's talking about he always has a plan B. He hit Roman Reigns with the chair, and then he joined the Authority. I think that's what they were called.
He didn't sell out. He bought in.
Yeah, remember? He bought in. He was a Triple H meat writer early on, and he was part of the Authority. But that was really good because that's why the Shield broke up. And Roman Reigns, look, he was so upset. He still wears Shield gear for most of his career.
Even now, he just took off the vest.
Yeah, he just took off the vest.
Yeah.
He's just still wearing the pants, and he's got the gauntlet stuff. Like that's still Shield gear. So he was so mad at that he had the opportunity to hit Cody with the chair and potentially end it, but he was like, no, fuck this geek over here in his Shield gear using our theme song. He just hit him in the back. That was really good. That was very smart booking. And Seth Rollins was right. He said he'll be a Shield, and that's exactly what he did. He protected him from another potential hit. And that's where Cody Rhodes got his one up, and then he did he had to do 3 crossroads. That's how weak that move was. He had to do 3 to actually pin Roman Reigns. But once that 3 hit, like that shit, that entire crowd, and me included, because David saw, it was like, yes! I was smacking the floor. I was like so excited. The whole crowd was crazy. And then the whole ending, the whole sequence of events that happened of the ending, like everyone's cheering, he's crying.
Bret Hart moment.
It's the Bret Hart moment. His wife comes in, his mother comes in, all the big baby faces who stayed in the back. Randy Orton, who he was in Legacy with, came out. LA Knight, Sami Zayn, CM Punk, he came out. They lifted him up on his shoulders. I mean, just a really, really good moment. You had Samantha Irvin, who was crying.
Oh yeah, she was choking up when she was calling it.
She couldn't finish. She finished it, but she was choking up as she was announcing it, because she was always like, "Don't tell me who wins. I want to know." And she just wants to have that, emotion, which is that's so cool of her. She's like such a wrestling geek. I love it. And Michael Cole, who again, fucking all-star, like just calling the match, like he really adds layers to this. People used to give him so much crap. I remember when he was like commentating like the early mid 2000s, they were crapping on Michael Cole. In the early 2000s, he was like basically the butt of many jokes. Like The Rock redid that skit that he did in the late 90s where he put like a shirt over him while he was interviewing The Rock. He did that to Michael Cole. I think it was at WWE World. So just what a long way he's come, and you can tell the shackles of you can tell the shackles that Vince McMahon had over him. Like it really helped the release of those shackles really improved his commentating. He was already good, but not having a guy yelling into your ear every single time probably helps your performance too.
And he got younger.
Or maybe it's just the Papa Tui gift bag that he got from The Rock as an apology for all those times he was, giving him shit. But yeah, Michael Cole was also crying, and he was making me cry because everyone's getting freaking emotional. I was like, oh Jesus, this is so good.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I've known him since he was a kid.
Yeah, that's what got me. He's like talking about him as a boy. Yeah. I was like, jeez, here we go,
little boy.
Yeah, and then he just couldn't finish it, and then he was like, you could hear that he's like trying to hold it in, and then Cody's hugging him, they're having a long thing, he's hugging the camera guys, just like really feel good thing. And then Michael Cole said, this is why I love professional wrestling, and another term that they're really hammering home, like they really, I don't know if they just want to piss Vince off or like what the creative decision is, because that was a dirty word for at least 15 or 20 years. Sports entertainment was what they were using for the longest time, and now they're using it in like every other sentence. So I kind of want to see why they started using professional wrestling instead of sports entertainment, like why they went back to that. That would be an interesting question for Triple H at a press event.
They're saying wrestling is back.
Professional wrestling is back. Maybe it's like a Rock thing. He's like, let's call it professional wrestling. Yeah, just a really good match. I don't know what else to say. Very emotional, very good. We'll briefly go over the Raw after Mania because this was a lot, I will admit. But we'll go over the main segment of the Raw after Mania, which was a big chunk of Raw. It was about 45 minutes or so between The Rock and Cody Rhodes.
Commercial free,
yeah. So I'll go over this little summary that I created, but the Raw after Mania, I think this was the best Raw after Mania I'll say in 5 years since before COVID. Last year's, a lot of people have crapped on it because it was still that period where we weren't sure if Vince McMahon was here or he wasn't here. And a lot of people thought 39 was amazing, and they thought Triple H's fingerprints were on it. And then when Raw after Mania happened, we were like, oh, Vince McMahon's back. This made no sense. Like,
this sucks. Vince must be back.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was just the assumption. And there was some truth to that. Vince McMahon was in there, and apparently he did rip up things and change things with vintage Vince. That's what he used to do. And this year's Raw after Mania really did feel more cohesive, and it just made sense. Like that feels like such a low bar to have, but it just like the flow of the show just made sense. And they planted a lot of seeds. They introduced a bunch of people into the main event, into the main roster that some people may have never heard of, like Ilya Dragunov, who's the NXT champion, and the NXT women's champion. I just forgot her name. But hold on, I just have it. Roxanne Perez. There we go. Yeah, just a really good flow. Let's talk about this main segment. I don't know, Andres, if you had a chance to watch it, but I'll just kind of briefly go over.
I've seen the highlights of it.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was that long though.
Oh yeah, I think they might have cut it down for like YouTube clips, but this was their 17th sellout show in a row. I'm really curious to see where this, like, how many they keep selling out even after Mania. If it dies down, if it just keeps going, that'll be interesting to see, especially like this upcoming SmackDown. But they had an attendance record of 20,248 at the Wells Fargo Center, which they were there like this was like their third time now. So the stage was very narrow. I think they actually had a nicer layout than what they gave to Chicago, because Chicago, for whatever reason, they still gave us like a biggish screen, and it was like kind of pushed out. So that specific section that we were in for that Raw specifically, like there was, I think you guys felt like there was a little bit of a limited view from like that angle where we were sitting, right?
It would have been like if you're a couple next to us.
Right.
But like we were good.
Yeah, like we could still see we could see the ring and stuff, but it was still like a little pushed out. And the layout at Wells Fargo, it was basically kind of like a Madison Square Garden, like Royal Rumble kind of entrance thing. Like it's short, but everyone who's around the arena can see everything. Like no one's blocked off. It was very minimalist, and it's a good idea. If you can put asses in seats and you can sell more seats. And that's what Triple H said. Instead of showing off the latest like LED screen technology, what he cares more about is the people within that arena who can give you a reaction. I think that's smart. Like, why wouldn't you put more asses in seats for the sake of, less screens? I think that's smart. So yes, the 17th sellout, the fans, we got Triple H coming out. You got a whole thank you, Hunter, before even he can say a word. He thanked the crowd, and everyone keeps saying it's one of the biggest WrestleManias, or the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Some people say it's the best. I think recency bias might cloud some people's judgment, but I definitely think it's a top 5 for sure. I think I'd need some time with it to actually truly see if it's the greatest of all time. But it's definitely the biggest. Cody Rhodes came out. He received a big reaction. Eventually, they started chanting, "You deserve it." Hunter confirmed WWE didn't have it staged because he wanted to fit more people in the building. And then he gave, like, this also made me tear up, and maybe I'm just a crybaby, and that's why I'm a Cody crybaby, or I don't know, I'm emotional. But like Triple H, and it felt genuine. He was basically saying that the guys in the back wanted to put together a video package to thank Cody for this, and apparently Cody didn't know this was happening. So they showed the video, they put the video up, and they basically were like, all right, here's the video, and now we also have like a little picture-in-picture to show like Cody's reaction, because they were probably like, oh, he's gonna cry, he always cries at everything. And yeah, just a really good, like, feel-good video, like, oh, you're the champion now, this is all you've accomplished. I mean, it was really good.
One thing I'll point out really quick, it seems like the WWE is also actually lax on a lot of things too with their promotions, because they were showing photos of Cody with the Young Bucks when they were forming AEW, pictures with him and Kenny Omega, and I was like, damn, like,
good point.
That used to be very taboo before. They were just like, oh, that we don't see that, but we know it exists. But no, they're like straight up like, here, he was doing this while he was gone.
I mean, just, yeah, in general, like, just acknowledging that promotions exist, like, by don't insult our intelligence. Like, we know that AEW exists, that TNA exists. They used to, like, they used to pretend like these guys never existed, that when the guys came here, that they didn't have a history beforehand. There was like maybe a vague reference to something that they did before, but there's actual acknowledgments and people appearing, like from TNA and from Stardom during Stand and Deliver. They had Julia with Rossi in the audience, and they pointed the camera at them, and they made a point that they were here celebrating WrestleMania weekend. Like, that's crazy, but also, like, that's the real world, baby. Like, and having, you know, acknowledgement of this stuff just makes it cooler, and it just gives it another like level of like freshness that I haven't seen before. Like, this company is taking these things seriously, and it's realistic and all that kind of stuff, you know. Good point. Yeah, that was a good point. Good. Yeah, that maybe the only time they will ever be in a WWE ring is through that footage. But yeah, so they did the picture-in-picture. He was crying. He did the whole that he became emotional. Then Cody Rhodes basically got Samantha Irvin to announce his victory as the WWE Champion. Which was nice, but I also feel like that's a little bit of a heel tactic, you know, like it's just a slight shade, like, hey, can you announce me as the champion again, please? Like, that's like seems like a traditional heel tactic, but so and then Rhodes was acknowledging Roman Reigns as champion, and you got a big thank you Roman chant. He was talking about why he does this, and he shows a clip of his daughter Liberty saying Papa finished the story, which is very cute. I wonder how many takes they had to do for her to actually say it correctly. But that was really cute. Talking about how he was undesirable and undeniable to undisputed, you know, champion. And then he gets interrupted by The Rock, and this was the best part of the entire show. Just giving this man his flowers. He knows how, he has the crowd in the palm of his hands. Just the way he delivers it, the subtlety of like putting his mic to the microphone and knowing like, oh, they got booze, I'm gonna put it down and just let them have it, you know. Really, really going for it. They started chanting Rocky sucks. They were chanting Undertaker at him. Then they were chanting shut the fuck up. That I was like, oh, my sound must not be working. But they just kept chanting that, you know, for a minute or so. And then Pat McAfee was basically kind of like supporting The Rock over the Philadelphia fans. And The Rock said, The Rock is a lot of things, but sucks isn't one of them. and that's actually a throwback to when he was originally a heel right after the Nation of Domination, I think. I don't know if it's during or like right after when he became a single star. But
No, that was when he joined.
when he joined, okay, yeah, like that was a good callback. That was really cool. Um, he continued to battle the crowd, and then yeah, Rock was censored cues. He was dropping a bunch of f-bombs, but that crowd loved that shit. Like they were eating that up. The Rock congratulated Cody. He insisted his People's Championship was real, which is really that's the other thing that just makes him like a bigger asshole. But it's just that like yeah, why not? Why wouldn't he have his own belt? Like that's funny. And kindly asked if The Rock could hold the belt. After all, he never held that title. So there was this whole segment of like, let me, I'll show you mine if you show me yours kind of thing. And then the crowd kind of basically broke into fans chanting, you know, this is awkward. Which it was a little weird, and maybe that was the point of the segment, or maybe they didn't think that it would come across as weird, but it definitely did.
Yes.
And The Rock said he had to leave for a while, and the whole crowd was basically singing the "na na 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 hey hey goodbye" chants, which I haven't heard in a long time. But he said when he's coming back when he comes back, he's coming for Cody Rhodes, and Rhodes said that he's looking forward to it. And then this is the biggest, I think this is the biggest part that everyone's talking about on social media, is that The Rock put something in Cody's hand, and then he told Cody to never break his heart again, which was weird, again, I'll say. And the plot thickens. It went almost an hour, along with my current talk probably went like a good 10 minutes. But what did you think of this segment? And what do you think he put in his hand? That's what everyone wants to know. There were memes, and I saw the memes. And one of them was a pair of tickets to Black Adam, and he said, "Don't break my heart again." But what I told Chris last night during our stream of WWE 2K24, which you guys can check out because we will be doing it in the future. I thought that maybe he like forgot the stuff in his pocket, because he was like, he held it like a fist and then he put it in his hand, but it was like you can't see what it was, and I thought maybe he was like, oh shit, I didn't bring it, so he just made sure like hold it like this for the longest time so the camera doesn't catch that it's actually nothing. But in story it is some kind of item, but I don't know what it could be. So what do you guys think they gave Cody?
They're saying that it might be the Rolex that Cody had gifted all three of them, Roman, Rollins, and Rock.
So he gave one to The Rock too? Okay.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense. That's probably what it is. Because I don't know, what else could it be?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Because like, what does that mean? Don't break my heart again. See, like that when he said that, I thought it was something that might have involved the initial switch that they had before the We Want Cody stuff, where he was like, I'm going to wrestle you, but not at WrestleMania. And then he gave The Rock the match against Roman Reigns. And then he said it was BS. And then they switched it back. I thought maybe it might have tied into that, because I was thinking, well, he gave you the match, and then The Rock probably thanked him and told him something nice during that SmackDown episode, that he whispered something into his ear. And then I think the breaking of his heart was reverting back and telling him to go F himself. I'm getting the championship match at WrestleMania. And I think that's maybe what he means by breaking his heart again.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, I don't know why he would accept the watch. Like, he took it. And this is after the fact that this match happened. And then he gives it back to him the night after. You know, like, that, I don't know what it is, but if that's where they're following it, I'd like for them to address why that happened. And I'm sure they'll address it. But I think that you might be right with the watch, and I think the reasoning is what I just said. But we'll see. And it doesn't seem like they'll be encountering each other for a while, maybe not until next year's WrestleMania, unless you guys do you guys think they'll push it up to SummerSlam? I don't
No,
know.
but it'll probably be when The Rock starts showing up again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know when that is. Some people are saying SummerSlam. I think it might be WrestleMania season, and Cody will have
You could, yeah.
his share of people in between. Do we think that Cody Rhodes can potentially lose the championship anytime soon, like before he even fights Cody Rhodes with The Rock? Do you guys think that's a possibility?
It is, but I don't think it will happen. So
I
Yeah.
think we're about to see another long reign.
yeah,
I don't think it's
another
going to be
one.
3 years though. I don't
Oh
know if
no,
they
it ain't gonna be 3 years, but it'll definitely be
a year.
6 to 9 months.
Yeah, at least a decent one. I don't think they're going to be title hopping like the Attitude Era, but um, I think he'll have a pretty long reign, and maybe they'll just keep giving it to him, and he'll eventually reach not John Cena levels, but maybe like at least be like a 6-time champion or something like that.
Yeah.
22.
But yeah, then the honestly, this Raw kind of flew by. It was 3 hours, but I didn't think that initial segment lasted 45 minutes, but apparently it did. We had Ilya Dragunov versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That was a really good match. Showcased Dragunov's skills in front of a new crowd. Really good match. Shinsuke Nakamura kind of feels like the new Dolph Ziggler, where they just kind of put him in front of upcoming talent or people that might need an extra boost. And, Nakamura might be fine with that. I think maybe they'll even put him in NXT just so he could give more of the male roster a boost there, because I think their male roster on NXT might be a little lacking, not like the women's roster, which is really good on NXT. We had the Awesome Truth and John Cena. This is another really good segment. You had Judgment Day coming out, saying how good they are. They're all raising their titles, and then R-Truth from behind raises his tag team championship, and they had this whole segment. Turns into a tag match. John Cena comes out eventually. Some people thought it was just going to be Little Jimmy or nobody at all, which I guess Little Jimmy is nobody. Really fun match. We had Roxanne Perez. She defeated Indy Hartwell. They continue to go with the whole feud between Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. I think Candice LeRae needed something, and at least this heel character makes her interesting, because before she didn't really have anything going for
call that?
character wise,
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that's all I can say until they do something else. Sami Zayn, Chad Gable defeating Imperium. That was good. I'm kind of expecting Chad Gable to turn on Sami Zayn. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen eventually. But really good workers. I feel like that could be a potentially good first challenger for his title. I mean, I think he's challenging for the title.
Yep.
He said he was. And we got Jade Cargill defeating Chelsea Green in like a classic Jade Cargill AEW squash match. She just kind of came out, kicked her, did her finisher. 1, 2, 3. I'm fine with that if that's what they're gonna do for a little while. What do you guys think of giving her the Goldberg treatment? Do you like that idea to continue that in WWE, or not that great?
I think she should keep winning, and if she has a streak, she should get challenged a little bit more as it goes on. But for like the whole Chelsea Green being squashed, like there isn't a more perfect person to get another person over in a squash than Chelsea Green right now.
She's just really good at it, and she knows her role, and she does it really well. But I'd also like to see Chelsea Green to get a women's championship at least once. I don't see why she can't. She's just really charismatic. Yeah, and then our main event was a fatal 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. We got Jey Uso versus Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre, and then Bronson Reed. Really good match. I thought that I was thinking that Drew McIntyre would win this, so I was surprised that Jey Uso won. through no fault of Drew's, because CM Punk came out from under the ring, grabbed Drew McIntyre by the leg, got distracted, got hit by Jey Uso, and then he got pinned. And this is clearly happening with CM Punk versus Drew. There's a match happening in the future, and they're just extending it and just having each other go kind of tit for tat on these matches. I mean, Drew's talking shit. I mean, he's kind of getting his just desserts, but it's really funny. What can I say? What do you guys think? Do you think Jey Uso has a chance in hell of defeating Damian Priest at Backlash?
If he's gonna beat anybody, it could be Damian Priest.
That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I feel like they have a pretty similar amount of stature within the company, like power. If we're looking at believability for who can win. So, but I don't know. I don't think Damian Priest is gonna drop it that quickly. I think he'll have it for 2 months, but then is it a heel versus heel at Clash at the Castle, or maybe it's a triple threat with CM Punk? I don't know.
Well, whatever happens at Clash of the Castle, it's kind of like with Rhea Ripley, where they're just like, okay, this is your face.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, you're right. With Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, both technically heels, but clearly a face in Australia. So you're right. I could see that. You're right. And that would be a good match. I mean, I think Damian Priest will retain at Backlash, but good match. Any closing thoughts before we go? Before we ramp this baby up?
No, but I definitely think the future is bright going forward into this new era. They like to implement a lot of. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that draft.
I can't wait for the Tribal Chief.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm curious, how are they going to use Roman Reigns going forward? That will be a big, interesting thing, because I think he's now at this point, he's not coming back as a full-time week to week. I think he'll stay as a part-time wrestler. I think that's what he wants. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Roman Reigns. They did show that, or he uploaded a reel of him on a Stairmaster or something. It looked, he was walking slowly, so I'm just assuming it's a Stairmaster. Basically saying like "morning, we mourned" or something like that, and today's day one. So he's starting new, and I think he'll be a face when he comes back, because how can you not when you have that reign and you're gone for a while, you know? But,
yeah.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Chi-Town Shoot podcast. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, rate us, and leave your feedback. Tune in next time for more wrestling madness. Until then, keep marking out.